Ladies and gentlemen, today we have a little bit of bad news. For context, it turns out something we thought was going to happen isn't going to happen, at least not anytime soon, and we need to go over that, but don't worry, at the end of this video I'll sprinkle on a little bit of good news. Let's just go and get right into this video. We've had an indie direct, but we all know that's not what we're looking for, and a huge insider who's leaked and predicted tons of stuff that has all been accurate has put out some new information that we need to go over. So before we get started, if you could hit a like and subscribe, it would truly mean the world to me. And let's just go and get right into it. PH Brazil. I no longer believe we will get a direct this month. Before we get into this, I have covered news and reports and leaks saying that there's a direct this month. And as much as I want that to happen, I think it's important for gaming news channels like myself to report both sides and just have accurate information, because I think that's the most important thing for me, is to give my viewers the most recent and accurate information. For context, this is the person who first reported on the alleged Switch 2 delay into 2025 and had previously indicated mid-February that he had heard a direct happening in April and an Indie World before that with a Switch 2 reveal in June. Hey everyone, didn't want to leave you hanging for the entire month, so here I am. You all remember that info I had back during the Switch 2 delay week was we'd have a direct in April and an Indie World presentation prior to that. I had those talks a couple days after the Switch 2 discussion, but now I believe that the event into itself was already outdated at that point. I no longer believe we will get a direct this month. Bummer. One source in particular had talked about an April direct before, is now expecting the next one to happen around the obvious SGF timeframe, so late May, early June. The Indie World seems to have been planned to be aired pre-GDC, but I guess all those plans went out the window immediately as well. So as much as I want a Nintendo Direct to happen this month, and I reported that it was going to happen this month, and now we see that that may not be the case, and we're almost at that halfway part of the month anyway, so if it was going to happen, realistically it would happen probably the beginning of next week. Let's just think for a second, what would be in that Direct? Because Nintendo is currently in this very weird moment where it's like, we all know we're at the end of the Switch's life cycle, but we don't have confirmation of that next console yet. So we need games for the Switch, but they're obviously going to be working on stuff for the next console. So the question that I have is, what would we possibly get in that Direct if there was one? I've covered a bunch of leaks about games, maybe some Monster Hunter stuff, some Zelda ports, some random stuff. Honestly though, what would we possibly get? Would we get Metroid Prime 4 this late into the Switch's life? Or would that make sense for the next Nintendo console? Would we get the Twilight Princess and Wind Waker ports? Sure, I feel like that's a good filler game. You could just port over, I'm sure, the Wii U versions and tweak it a little bit. Maybe a Pokemon remake? I think we need a Pokemon game this year. Gold and Silver remake or a Black and White remake, I think that would work. I can't think off the top of my head, but I don't think we have much coming this year. So I understand why we need the Direct, but I truly don't know what we'd get. Maybe some stuff that was only released in Japan and it's finally localized here. I could see us getting some weird ports like that, but I truly don't know. And then another question I have is, say you're an indie developer or maybe another game company that's not Nintendo or directly related with Nintendo. Would you want your game to release on the Switch this late in the Switch's life? Or do you just want to tweak it and hold it out for the next Nintendo console? So I truly feel with the Nintendo Switch being so late in its life cycle, it's almost weird to even put out a game at this point. If you drop a game for the Switch, specifically for the Switch, and then the Switch 2 comes out, and it's like, oh man, people don't even care about my game anymore. Maybe backwards compatible is a thing on the next Nintendo console, but even if it is, I was really thinking about it and talking with my community, I almost feel like only certain games will be backwards compatible. One of the ways that I think they could make backwards compatible work is if they just made Nintendo exclusive stuff backwards compatible, so stuff that Nintendo made themselves. So maybe all the stuff like Mario, Metroid, Zelda, Pokemon, stuff like that will all be backwards compatible, and that will be it. And then there's a whole other possibility. What if there's no Nintendo Direct? Like you may or may not know, but Nintendo's been dropping tons of information on Twitter. Almost it feels like an entire Direct daily over there. They will just tweet like 10 random things about games. So there's the possibility that there is no Direct at all, and the next event we get is in June for the Switch 2 reveal or something. I could see that actually happening. So as of right now, there is no Nintendo Direct, but we know how volatile this is. Maybe tomorrow I'll make a video about how there is a Nintendo Direct. But I can't leave you guys with only bad news, so quickly I want to mention that Nintendo added 3 new games to Nintendo Switch Online, and I think they're worth checking out. The games are Amazing Herbaric, I don't even know how to pronounce that, forgive me, Super R-Type, and Wrecking Crew 98. I don't know much about all these games, but I know everybody loved Super R-Type back in the day, but it is a very, very hard freaking game. But yeah, 3 new games added to Nintendo Switch Online, so I guess it's not all bad news. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you think about all this Nintendo Direct? Are you ready for it? Why am I even asking you this? Of course you're ready for it. We need some kind of Switch games this year. I know it's the last year for the Switch, but I need something to play, man. Down below, let me know your thoughts and opinions as always. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram if you could. I'd really appreciate a follow. We're growing on both platforms. And just thank you so much for that. And you guys know me, I'll see you soon with a new video. Peace out.